with Clay Turnbow, the head brewer at Kiitos Brewery. Clay, welcome to Drinking in Utah.
Thanks for having me on the show, guys. This is exciting.
Yeah.
For us too.
So Clay, you started out homebrewing.
I did. I homebrewed for a very long time.
And now look where you are.
And now everything's much bigger.
Like dream come true, or is it, do you miss homebrew at all?
It's more of a dream come true. I still homebrew occasionally. Most of the time it's stuff that's eventually going to become Kiitos branded beer.
Okay.
But there is still occasionally, there's times when I know that it's a brand that's not going to end up being scaled up. Some things just, it's not going to happen. But for the most part, when I am homebrewing, I consider it still research or work for something that could become a Kiitos brand eventually. So.
I mean, you write it off for your taxes at least. Anything else?
I'll let the brewery pay for all those ingredients.
There you go.
I feel like Kiitos, you guys go further with your beer than a lot of breweries go.
I think so. I think especially in Utah, I think so. I've never been one to shy away from trying a new style. And one thing I've really found with the Utah beer market, Salt Lake beer market in particular, is if I come up with something that maybe I got inspiration while I was in Portland or traveling somewhere or tried some random weird ingredient, I found that even us doing one brew here is about 600 gallons, and I found that no matter what the style is, the market's going to buy that much beer. We might not make it again if it doesn't sell well, but I found that whatever we come out with, whether it's the fruit milkshake that hadn't been seen in this market before, either if it catches on, great. But I'm not worried about making 600 gallons of beer and it going bad. But it's going to get sold within its shelf life here. So
you're saying Salt Lake people drink anything?
Well, I'm not
take whatever.
Especially milkshakes.
Yeah, especially that.
I mean,
at least I haven't found a style that wouldn't get drank here in Salt Lake. So
perfect.
You guys have the most efficient brewing system of anybody in Salt Lake.
We do.
Can you explain that a little bit?
So we have something that's called the HEBS, and the acronym stands for it's a high efficiency brewing system. Essentially, it's a mash press or a mash filter, which they're not necessarily new technologies, but they are somewhat new on the scale that a craft brewer could get into. So the big guys like Bug, Miller, Coors, and all those guys have been brewing on this technology forever. It's just that it's been scaled down to our, an approachable level for a craft brew. By no means the equipment's very expensive, but it's now to a level where it's affordable for a craft brewery to get into this kind of thing. And we're the only ones in the state that have it. I think there's right around 20 now in the United States. Ours was number 13.
Wow.
Or most of your stuff is local, right? As local as it can be?
Everything is as local as we possibly get. We've worked with Green Urban Lunchbox to source some local fruit. For the first time we did cherry Berliner Weiss, and we'll keep working with them and getting it fruit in seasonally when it's available.
Is it harder to brew for Utah's 4%?
For me, it's not.
It's not. Okay.
Because I also grew up in this market, so it was part of my, when I learned to brew, I learned how to make 4% beer. And we had some great brewers that came through on the outside, people that are not from Utah. They see what we're doing here, and it blows their mind coming in and trying our 4% draft beers.
I think that does blow people's mind because you just don't expect a beer to have that much flavor.
Right.
You think 3.2, you think like a watery Bud, something like that.
Right, exactly.
Like this, and it's amazing.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the give back handle. That's such a cool idea.
Right. So if you haven't researched our name, Kiitos is Finnish, and the translation goes to gratitude or thank you, depending on what source you use, I guess. But anyways, it was very important for us to give back to the community and be a responsible business. And hence that's also why we purchased, this equipment. It's obviously more expensive, but it uses less raw ingredients, less water. And so when we came up with this idea, it was what can we do for our local community? And essentially we always have, most of our draft beer is either $4 a pint, $5 a pint, or $6 a pint. And we took a handle that would normally be a $4 pint, bumped it up to $5, called it our Give Thanks handle, and $1 of that pint, every time you buy a pint, $1 is going to a local organization. Right now it's going through to the local chapter of the ACLU. So last year we started with the Big Gay Ale and donated a portion of every can sale to the Pride Center. And then we're like, wait, why don't we do this all the time on our draft? And May and June will always be the Pride Center, but we can come up with something else, some other local charity that is equally needing something.
How do you choose your recipients? Is it just you're trying to piss off the Mormon church? Or
Honestly, what it is we kind of all get together. There's 5, 6 of us that are all kind of in a brain trust when we're having a production meeting, and it's what's hurting right now, what comes to mind. You know, a lot of times it's what's in the news.
Now, explain to us what a firkin is. Because you know what a merkin is.
Not a merkin. I was
That's
going to
a
say,
firkin.
where do you make the merkins?
So a firkin is it's a cask. So it's essentially a vessel that holds beer. And traditionally they'd be served on the counter, served, you know, at cellar temperature, which is generally, you know, 50-ish degrees. And it's, you know, they come from an English style where a lot of beers are just generally served in casks in the UK. Here in America, if you go into a brewery and you see a firkin, it's generally something that is a brand that the brewery already makes, but because firkin has a big old open top on the cask, you can put a bunch of random ingredients in there, let it sit for a couple weeks and carbonate, and then serve it to our customers. So we're not necessarily making cask beer in the way that the UK intended cask beer to be made. We're making it as I'm taking, you know, right now we have our Pilsner up there with, added some turmeric and some ginger to it and let it sit for a couple weeks and tapped it on a Monday and it's sitting up there.
Where do you come up with the ideas for this? For any of your beers, really?
Honestly, a great inspiration for beer is ingredients. So if I go to the farmer's market down at Liberty Park or Pioneer Park and walk through, a lot of times that's where I can get the inspiration for a new beer. A lot of my inspiration comes from food as well. So if I'm, you know, eating at, you know, a nice restaurant that I found and I find a dish that smells a certain way, it's honestly where I got that turmeric idea, was having curry. So I had a ginger curry a few weeks back and was thinking about that. So
Accidentally spilled a bite in your beer. It tasted amazing, and there you go.
Right, and so a lot of times I'll try something, I'm like, well, how could I make this into beer? And would it be good? But the beauty of the firkins is that's, you know, 5 or 10, so there's 2 different sizes. A firkin is 10 gallons, what's sitting up front is a pin, that's 5 gallons.
Okay.
But for us to, you know, mess around with 5 or 10 gallons of beer, it's nothing. And so if it doesn't turn out quite right, we'll just write that one down. Don't try that one again. but sometimes it's awesome, and then it might inspire another, you know, a full run on a whole new beer, you know, in a couple weeks. So
That's cool. So is there connection for the Pinball and Kiitos, or is that just a happy?
You know, it was kind of a happy accident. The owner here, his name's Andrew. He had some friends that he knew had pinball machines, and you know, he pitched the idea to me because we've been brewing and open for, you know, 3 months and had beer in convenience and grocery stores before we opened the tavern. And when we were building out the tavern, Andrew had this idea, what if we threw a couple pinball machines in there? I have some friends that run a local pinball league, and they're always looking to place machines somewhere. And so I was just like, I like pinball. I play it whenever I'm at a bar, but I'd never necessarily go to a bar to play pinball.
Right,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? If it's there, I might try and play it.
You're in the B League, the pinball B League.
Maybe
You're
the
not
C
quite-
League.
Okay, yeah.
They run a pinball league the first Tuesday of the month, and it's actually really busy. And consistently, people are down here playing pinball. They rotate out the machines every once in a while, so there's some new ones in.
That's cool.
And it's
Wasn't
exciting.
Wasn't the championship here? or
Yeah, the Utah Championship was here back in January.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
One more-
Were you here for that?
I did. I came down and watched it for a
like-
little while.
Were they intense?
It's intense. It's cool, but it's also embarrassing when I play and I score, 3 million, and then I'm, that's definitely going to be in the top 10, and then I see the top scores just 785 million. Like, did that take like 45 minutes of straight play?
Yeah.
I'm not even close to good enough to
That's
compete with those guys.
One more thing I didn't know I was not good at.
I know.
Put it on the list.
Yeah. Let's talk about the brewing community. You mentioned you know pretty much everybody around. It seems like it's a really tight-knit community.
It really is.
Is that special for Utah?
I actually think it's pretty.
pretty universal.
I think it's pretty universal across everywhere. I have some friends that brew in Portland, and they are really tight with everybody that they know up there. And here in Utah, it's no different. We are all really tight, especially the ones of us that are along the Wasatch Front.
It's not super competitive. I mean, it is, but maybe it's.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously
like
there is
brotherly.
some sort of a competitive nature to it. I mean, obviously there's only so many people buying beer, but in the end of the day, if we're all making good beer, we're all going to be we're all going to be fine. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people thought that because right here in this neighborhood, we have Fisher, Templin, Proper, and Epic are all within 5 blocks of each other.
Yeah.
And there was some concern when we moved in, talking to the guys over at Fisher. Are you guys worried? Like, are we gonna be friends? And they're like, no. The more people, the more breweries that are in this neighborhood, the more people that come to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So we've all seen growth as we moved in and Templin moved in, and everybody just seems to be thriving in this neighborhood. And it's become more of a brewery go destination.
Brewery Row.
Like,
Do you guys get together? Sorry, do you get together and do you have to compare notes on what you've heard about the new policy and the new things proposed?
so we
at the
will. We
Capitol?
do talk about things like that. For the most part, us brewers try and keep things mostly just about the beer, but obviously stuff like that comes up and we
Yeah,
talk about
it'll
it.
affect you.
Right,
in
it
some
does.
way, yeah.
It definitely affects us. So.
Yeah, are you worried at all? Like, because, I mean, no, if the big guys can come in, are people going to buy that?
Well, obviously, if the current law, the SB 132, if that passes, obviously there's going to be more competition from out-of-state breweries. It's going to happen eventually anyway. So our stance here at Kiitos is that we don't like the timing of the bill. As the bill is written, it goes into effect July 1st, which only gives us about 2.5 months from the time that it passes to the time it goes into effect. And we generally have to buy a lot of our packaging all of our packaging and our cans and all that stuff 6 to 8 months in advance. So we have all this package and cans, because our cans come pre-wrapped, labeled. So we have 6 to 8 months of backstock of this stuff that could become irrelevant if the law passes. I mean, obviously, I want no limit. I'd rather them just say, fine, beer can go to the grocery stores and the convenience stores and draft. There's no limit anymore, and the state will handle wine and liquor.
And then let's talk about your cans. Talk about your cans. Seems weird.
No, we're all friends here.
But the 360 top, is that what it's called? Where you take
The whole pull top off.
Is supposed to let the aroma of the beer out?
Right, yeah, exactly. So the idea is that Utah is such an outdoor community, and people love to take beer when they're camping, when they're boating, when they're hiking our wonderful mountains that we all have access here. And if you want to really enjoy good craft beer, you need to be able to smell it. And you can't smell a can, with the tiny little open top.
Coffee Cream Ale won the gold medal at the Great American Beer Fest.
That was crazy.
Didn't see that one coming?
No, well, it's not something you expect really in your first year. Now, obviously, it's a big goal of mine to always do well, especially in Great American Beer Festival's biggest beer competition in the world.
Yeah.
So I almost didn't go this year. It was at a time when we're really busy. I'm the only brewer here, and for me to take off and go to a conference for a week it's really hard to do. So I missed the first half of the conference, got all my work done. I remember talking to my girlfriend, are we really going to go to Denver? Like, it's going to be a whirlwind. We're in there for like 48 hours and then just come right back here because I need to get back to brewing. And we finally, luckily there was the airfare was like $80 for a round trip ticket. Okay, let's go. And really that was the deciding factor. It was like the airfare was cheap and it was available. Like I bought that tickets 48 hours before the conference started. Yeah. And so we went out there and
did you carry on a keg of beer or what? How's that work?
No. So you actually have to send it. You have to send it over like a month in advance.
Okay.
And so we ended up getting over there, and coffee beer category rolls around, and they say bronze, somebody, and then silver, somebody else. And then in my head, I'm just like, oh man, dang it. And then they say, Coffee Cream Ale from Kiitos Brewing, Salt Lake City. What? Seriously? Did that just happen? It was awesome.
That's pretty cool.
I'll never forget that moment.
Very cool. Well, Clay, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting us back
thanks for having me on.
Come down to Kiitos, drink some of their gold medal winning beer.
Yeah.